Okay, so the headlines are just everywhere, right? Conflict in the Middle East, a critical shipping lane gets squeezed shut. And yep, you guessed it, oil prices are spiking. Again, it feels like a story we've heard before, but as we're about to see, there's something really different going on this time. So let's get into it. The thing is, the real story, the one that's going to affect the price of everything from a plane ticket to the groceries you buy, it's kind of hiding in plain sight. This is a story about a completely different kind of fuel. And this whole thing kicks off right here, in one of the most important energy choke points on the entire planet, the Strait of Hormuz. Now, to really get a sense of this, you have to understand the scale we're talking about. On any given day, about 20% of the entire world's oil and gas supply flows through this one narrow stretch of water. I mean, it's literally a global economic artery. But here's the problem. With the recent disruption, that artery is being seriously squeezed. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, they're estimating that global oil production has already dropped by about 13%. Just look at this chart. You can see what a massive shock that is to the system, and it's sending these huge ripples through every corner of the energy market. All right, but this is where we get to the real heart of the matter today. While everybody is busy watching the price of crude oil, the real pressure point, the actual crisis, is happening one step further down the supply chain. See, here's the thing everyone's missing. The most intense pressure isn't on the raw material, the crude oil itself. It's on the specific, refined fuels that actually power our global economy. We're talking diesel and jet fuel in particular. And wow, this slide right here, it tells the whole story. Just take a second and look at these numbers from early April. You've got Brent crude oil trading around 110 bucks a barrel, but look at European diesel. It's soared to over $200. That's almost double. And jet fuel, that's gone even crazier, past $225. This is that hidden crisis we're talking about. The price of these essential fuels has totally disconnected from crude, and they're surging way, way more dramatically. So what are we talking about here? These fuels have a name, distillates. And you can really think of them as the workhorses of the modern world. They're what power the trucks, the trains, the ships, and the planes that make up the backbone of our global supply chain. Without them, pretty much everything grinds to a halt. Okay, so how does a jam up in a shipping lane halfway across the world actually hit your wallet? Well, it happens through this really powerful and fast-moving domino effect. It works kind of like this. First, the Hormuz disruption makes the supply of those refined fuels, like diesel and jet fuel, super tight. That immediately makes it more expensive for freight and air travel. And as it gets more expensive to move stuff around, global supply chains get put under this immense strain. And, well, inevitably, those higher costs get passed all the way down to you, the consumer. And look, this isn't just some theory we're spinning up. There's this index from the New York Fed that actually measures global supply chain pressure. It's basically a stress test for the entire system. In March, that index jumped to 0.68, which is its highest level since way back in early 2023. That shows us this whole chain reaction is already happening, right now. So, the big question is, who gets hit first and who gets hit hardest? Because this pain, it's not spread out equally. It really concentrates on specific regions and industries that are the most exposed. While this is a global problem, for sure, the pain is really focused in a few key spots. Asian airlines, for instance, are incredibly vulnerable to that jet fuel squeeze. Over in Europe, they're facing a critical shortage of diesel, and the sectors that are really the backbone of the economy, we're talking logistics, agriculture, construction, they're all feeling the pressure immediately. And this isn't some far-off prediction. We're already seeing the real-world fallout. Airlines in Asia are already cutting back flights. Europe is getting ready for even more severe shortages this month. And in the US, people are starting to talk about $5 a gallon gas and record high diesel prices. And oh yeah, because diesel powers farm equipment and energy is a huge part of fertilizer production, we're also seeing food prices climb. And beyond the big, wealthy economies, this shock is absolutely devastating for the world's most vulnerable countries. Just like the head of the IMF is warning, nations that don't have strong financial reserves to help with fuel costs or protect their citizens, they're the ones facing the most severe economic pain. All right, let's pull all of this together. What is the one thing you should really take away from all this? It's about learning to see this crisis through a totally new lens. So you've got the story you see on the news every night, right? It's simple. Conflict makes oil prices go up, so you pay more at the pump. End of story. But the real story, the one we've been unpacking here, is so much deeper. It's that the specific fuels that move our entire economy are getting squeezed, and that directly threatens our supply chains and is a huge driver of inflation across the board. So from now on, when you see those headlines about oil prices jumping, I want you to ask yourself a question. Is the price of a gallon of gas really the full picture, or is there something much more important happening just beneath the surface? Because at the end of the day, the real story isn't just about the price of oil. It's about the price and, even more importantly, the availability of the fuel that actually moves the world. And that's a story that affects every single one of us.